Cryptilians and crypto crackheads, today is Thursday, April 15th, and you're about to get Timified. New viewers, this channel is a lot different than what you typically see. We do two things on this channel. First is I show you how to enter trades very confidently so that you can get rid of the feeling of price drops every time you buy and price goes up every time you sell. And even though those feelings are inevitable at some times, but you can buy more confidently without that happening frequently. And then the second thing we do on this channel is we show people how to take profits like a boss and let cryptilians and crypto crackheads evolve to profit pimps because they know how to take profits like a boss as opposed to buying OMI or Cardano and praying the whole time without ever selling it, which is a very not a great way to increase your wealth. So that's the two things we do. I convert buyers and prayers into profit pimps. So if that kind of stuff sounds great, then let's get after it. So one thing, more new viewers, you might want to check out my description section where it says library. I have some good information there. If you hear me say anything that doesn't make sense, like EMA, any terminology like that, then you might want to check it out. It's probably in the link below. All right, so I mentioned this maybe earlier this week or later last week. We might be witnessing a separation of, like a separation of powers between Ethereum and Bitcoin. That might be what we're seeing. So if we look here at Ethereum, let's go to the 2-week chart. It looks like this has gas left in the tank. It's so the 2-week RSI is utilizing the moving average as a bounce, like as a trampoline essentially, and it has room to go north. Will it bounce one more time and then go? Yeah, potentially. However, it looks like it has more gas. If you look at Bitcoin's 2-week chart, you know, I don't really like the statements overbought, oversold. That just doesn't apply very well in crypto. So I'm not saying this is overbought too long. That's not what I'm saying. Simply what I'm saying is it appears like it's out of gas because it hasn't even been using this as a trampoline to fill up its tank or gain a little bit of bouncy power. I simply don't think Bitcoin has much gas. Now, the 2-week can technically, you know, come down quite a bit, you know, without price really dropping. So, you know, because if you're in this bullish control zone, you're still potentially creeping up, making higher highs. It's simply, if you were to stack the previous 12 candles of 2 weeks and separate the red and the green, and you stack the red all together, stack the green all together, the green candle stack of those 12 last candles would be still higher here, much higher, but the amount by which they are higher is decreasing and decreasing, but they're still bigger, meaning new highs are being made. So that kind of makes me think, but a lot of times what Bitcoin does is, I mean, when it resets, it really resets, and you get a correction. I mean, look at what it did here last time. I mean, it just really resets, and it formed a trend line essentially like this. And each of these were 35 to 38% corrections. I think this one right here was a 30% correction, correction right before it made new highs. And this one was the one right as it made all-time highs, roughly. So, you know, and it hasn't done anything like that. And so I really don't think it has a lot of gas. For example, here, it was filling up its gas tank every time it dipped below. Hasn't done that. So instead of Bitcoin correcting, what could easily happen, and I have mentioned this a few times on the channel, but, you know, if Bitcoin keeps moving like this into next week, I'm going to say it's way more probable what I'm about to say is happening. Right now, it still might be more probable, but I think the mixture of probabilities of what's going to happen, a correction or sideways movement or continuation north, I think they're all close to being, you know, pretty similar, and none stand out as like a clear winner, a clear probability. Like, hey, this is, you know, my bets are on this and I'm confident with it. I don't know if there's a clear one for me, whether, you know, you continue north, kind of like Ethereum, or if you keep going sideways and just kind of laziness, or if you have a correction down, so then you can, gotta get down and get up. Among those three options, it's too muddy for me. I think they're all close to being too equal, like perhaps, each 30%. And saving 10% room of like a harsh correction, a 70% drop, or, being 1% chance, and a chance that we go on a monumental 200% run within a month or something as a 1% chance, so on and so forth. But the main probable outcomes, I think they're sitting pretty equal. So the separation of powers here, defined as Ethereum, when Bitcoin goes down, Ethereum goes down. When Bitcoin goes sideways, Ethereum goes sideways. When Bitcoin goes up, Ethereum goes up. And Ethereum can't go up without Bitcoin going up. So right now, Bitcoin really ain't going up much. I mean, look. It's, so in how many days? So in 1, 2, 3, 4, in 6 days, it's gone up 4%. It's going sideways. It did break a high, and it's all-time high, and it's using it as support, which is not bad. There are a lot of altcoins behaving like that, which we'll get into that soon. But so Bitcoin could easily just keep stair-stepping. Just, 4 steps up, 3 steps down. 3 steps up, 2 steps down. 3 steps up, 1 or 2 steps down. It could keep doing that, essentially, sideways/sideways up as Ethereum races up. I think it's possible. And that situation, and I did mention Bitcoin could, correct by going sideways for a long time. And that does include stair-stepping slowly sideways, essentially, which does allow the weekly moving averages like the 10 to catch up. I mean, it's already pretty close to catching up because it's gone sideways for so damn long. I mean, within 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, the weekly 10 will be above that previous all-time high in just 5 weeks. So Bitcoin's gone sideways for quite a while. I mean, how many weeks is this? That's almost 60 days, almost 2 entire months sideways. So this could be the correction. Now, one thing to look out for, if it does start correcting, is this. So on the weekly, not the bi-weekly, if Bitcoin does want to take a correction, you'll see this bounce off of the moving average, the RSI will. So you'll be able to tell. And Ethereum, its weekly is also stuck under. So that's another thing to watch out for there. So the bi-weeklies look drastically different. The weeklies look very similar. So as you can see, it is a common play across cryptocurrency, to spike through, then make a, then correct. But this was a monumental spike. Like that was the parabolic move of the end of 2017. But in altcoins, let's just pick one. Pick Filecoin. Yeah, so a lot of times when it's correcting, it'll spike through, for example, right? Okay, although that wasn't a fantastic example, but you get the point. So Ethereum just could spike through, and this go back to Ethereum here. And if it does spike through and it gets continuation, what Ethereum might do and Bitcoin might not do is it could then get back on top of the moving average like so. Because it did come down here to what could be considered a trend line. I mean, there's a lot of activity there. There's resistance there, sort of resistance. It's never been used as support, but previous resistance becomes future support. So the support in last run of 2017 was way down here. It's just possible that there's more money at this time, and therefore the trend line, the support line's up higher. It's very possible. But I just don't know if it's like a winning bet at this point, right? So these are the things to look out for as there's clarity added in this market in the next roughly 7 days, 6 to 7 days. I would say by Wednesday, we're going to know which way this is going to go. I don't anticipate, if there is, smelling fishy and things are being propped up, I just don't see it lasting past Wednesday of next week. So yeah, those are the things I'm looking for in the market. And I think we could be seeing something very, very interesting happening right before our eyes. So among the options that I'm looking at, I did think that there was a clear higher probability that Bitcoin would correct either between here to hit the weekly 21 between the origin line, or all the way down to 40, since that would have been just a 38% normal correction, or a 35 or 36% correction. Thought that one was by far the most probable. I'm switching my probabilities. I think it might be just even across three probabilities, across three options. And perhaps the full correction option, if I had to like change one, I would say maybe that one is the least probable among these top three at this point. I would actually say it's the least probable. Now, is it by far the least probable? I would say not. But by Wednesday, I will probably take it out of my top three if it hasn't given hints that it's going to go in that direction. So it's becoming less and less probable, but I still think it's significant. So this drop down that I was expecting with a decent probability, I think it's the least probable among the top three. Second option is just a lot of sideways and or stair step movement, right? To let things catch up and allow the 2-week RSI to float down, but you're still kind of making higher highs because you're still in the bullish control zone. Things to that effect as the second. So let's say that's the second one. And then perhaps tied as most probable is just continuation. You know, we could have a nice big green week here. So for example, typically when you close a weekly candle above an all-time high, the next week's going to be a pretty big green candle. That actually might be the most probable, even more so than moving sideways at this point. However, I won't be super comfortable with that by saying, you know, and when I say comfortable, I mean I would feel comfortable betting on that, right? Until about mid next week. So there's a lot of stuff going on, folks, and we could be seeing something really cool, essentially. And so if Ethereum takes the lead to separate itself from Bitcoin's sideways and or down movement, I think the rest of the market will too. And we'll finally be playing in a market that's not dependent upon, you know, because it kind of makes things boring, right? Like shit goes wherever Bitcoin goes. Bitcoin goes up, okay, everything goes up, right? Now, Bitcoin will probably continue throughout the next few cycles, continue the beginning of bull markets in general, but within the bull market, and perhaps end the bull market too, but within there, I think we might be seeing right now that not everything moves exactly as Bitcoin does, perhaps to two different degrees, right? So I think Bitcoin in the future cycles, at least the next couple for, 8 years out, I think Bitcoin might be the granddaddy to begin a bear market and to end a bear market and begin a bull market. But within there, I think coins might move independent of it now. And it's been on Reddit channel since I got into crypto in 2017, and I think it's happening, or very likely to be happening right now. So we'll see. But it is still a possibility that, for example, on Ethereum, this 2-week candle could turn into one big red long wick still. Something crazy like that. And it closes red like so, with a long wick up. It could do something like that. But if it doesn't start doing that by Wednesday, it ain't going to do it. Most likely. So I'm still being cautious with my plays and my altcoins. And that's about all I got for you on the market. So altcoins. With smaller alts, there are two really common plays that I'm seeing across the board. They're very good buy opportunities in terms of level, okay? So price level, but perhaps not perfect buys in terms of it's going to turn around and go up, tomorrow, right? So maybe not the perfect timing. So please listen to what I'm saying. When I'm about all the rest of the coins I'm covering, if I say that, this looks like a good opportunity, I'm not clarifying in terms of timing. I'm saying that in terms of the price level that it's at. And it could just stay there for a month, right? And hover up and down within 10% of that for a month or two, right? So perhaps not the best time. All right. So one of the most common plays that I'm seeing right now is very similar to what MTV did So MTV front ran the cross, front ran this cross, and got rejected, came down to test here. Okay. A lot of this is happening. This rejection here is getting rejected by the 55 moving average a lot. If this were my blue line. And so I'm seeing this over and over and over. So for example, Dragon Chain, maybe which is a mid-tier, mid-cap coin. It could be playing into something very similar. So I don't know. It has a long way to go to get rejected by the 55. So this one's not perfectly as common, but it, just like MTV, it front ran the cross, is falling back down into the cross. And the likelihood of it doing something similar to MTV soon is pretty high, like really high. Okay, so so I'm just seeing this across the board, across the board. Silo, way back, several weeks ago, did something very similar as well. I guess I can delete some of these lines for you. Did I delete my moving averages? I did. Okay. I was on the bi-weekly. That's why those were off. Darn it. Okay. Well, I might have to go back on those. So it also front ran the cross, came back down into the cross, and then exploded. So this is a very common play. Or some coins don't front run. They actually explode up. Let me see if I can actually find one. Yeah, there you go. So it front ran the cross, got rejected by this 55 moving average on the of the weekly, came back down to do what? Exactly test the cross, and then is taking off. So I'm seeing this over and over and over and over in small caps. And typically as it corrects into it, that's typically a really good opportunity to buy in terms of level. It could take a few weeks to take off, but it's getting real common here. All right. And for coins that are younger, for example, like Tone, even though it's not technically younger, sometimes you'll see it on the daily because there is no weekly. For example, maybe Idea. But it's happening across the board, even for younger coins. Nope, it's actually too young to even do that. All right, so that's one common play. The second common play that I'm seeing is exactly what Bitcoin's doing. There are a lot of failed breakouts happening. So back in February and March, pretty much everything that made a new high just screamed. BEPRO, Veracity, etc. So Silo, I mean, this is kind of like a fake out. So, but anyway, a breakout, retest the highs as support. And this is the second most common thing I'm seeing. DAPPT, same deal. Just a lot of repetitive. So even though this one is stair-stepping more, but still, failed breakout, tested this as support. Now stair-stepping. But this stair-step isn't as common. But testing as support is. So this section right here, I'm seeing this over and over and over. So if you are following a breakout coin, just know that almost 100% of the breakouts in alts right now that I'm seeing are failed breakouts, just like Bitcoin just did. It broke out over this line, and it didn't get up very high at all. That was very unimpressive. Wow, went up 5%. It's pretty weak, but it could just form a base and just keep going sideways, then do another stair step. Like this is behaving like our alts right now. It's kind of interesting, but like this is common. This is the second, this actually, it's just as common. Like these are the two repetitive things over and over and over that I'm seeing in alts. So just a heads up, cryptolians and crypto crackheads, I've been saying, buy breakouts and blood, and dips. Don't buy glory. But heads up, almost every single breakout that I've seen recently has failed. So buying a breakout, maybe setting limit orders a little bit up, trying to sell maybe perhaps a 50 bag, or maybe be more reserved, like a 20 bag, in case it just keeps skyrocketing like freaking MTV, even though MTV did not break out of an all-time high yet. But perhaps not selling all your bags, but perhaps 20, 30, 40 bag, whatever would be my play. You can do what you want in this, because this is for entertainment purposes only, not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. But just heads up, be very aware of that. Playing breakouts right now is not as exciting as it was in February and March. Okay. Is Toko another one that did that failed? Yeah. So even though Toko didn't get rejected, it kind of front ran, kind of like Silo did, and then went up. So this play is happening for coins that haven't done this yet. It's just happening. Oh, it's more and more common. But BEPRO, for example, I don't remember if it did that or not. I don't think it did. No, it didn't. It just broke out. So this is February, just broke out. So in February, early March, everything was just breaking out. It didn't have a retest. It just broke and just go. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. But right now this isn't happening, and the veracity breakouts, breakout of all-time high, like here, actually here. I mean, from its previous all-time high, it's up 3,000%. It's just really impressive. So this kind of stuff isn't happening. Or this candle here, after a breakout, so this line right here is a breakout, like this is not happening. 2 green candles in a row, big green candles. I'm not seeing it. So just be warned that the plays, things work till they don't, right? So it works till it doesn't. A trend is a trend until it's not anymore. Well, I'm letting you know, it's like the trend now has changed. So I want you to be fully aware of that, and my new viewers. Playing breakouts is good, but the play currently is a little different. Okay, there's a third thing that I'm seeing that's super repetitive across almost all altcoins, is moving to the 4-hour. The play has been to buy the 4-hour. A lot of them are writing the 4-hour for like 40 days at a time, but still, it's writing it, and it's a good level at which to buy, right? Perhaps not a great time to buy it, because your money's going to be flat for, potentially 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, but it's a very common play. So let's just kind of like press spacebar here and start seeing which ones are playing it. So that one has yet to play it. How long has it been going sideways? This is AXPR. 13 days. Will it end up playing it? I would say yes. It's the most common play out there. ADB. This is stair-steppy. So I would say this one's not following this trend, and it's going to keep its own trend of stair-step action. And this Bitcoin might do something similar to this in terms of its sideways movement. So this is what I mean by stair-step. I think the stair-step action, it'll keep playing off of the 4-hour 55, which might be the daily 21. Yeah, so I have no reason to think that this will not continue playing the daily 21 in a stair-step fashion until it doesn't, right? So ADB is not one of those examples. BEPRO fell through its 4-hour 200 EMA. So this isn't a great example either. What about on the Bitcoin pairing? Yeah, so on the Bitcoin pairing, it wanted to, but it fell through pretty deeply. All right, and then, wait, was that the red line I was looking at? Yeah, so it fell through the orange line here. If you can remove price, see that? All right, what else is doing this? What's VIA doing? Is VIA playing this? I think VIA's too high. Yeah, so VIA might end up playing it too. So that is a case for when this gets up to $1.35, VIA could easily prove this as support, because it's going to have 2 reasons now, right? It's going to have this 200 EMA on the 4-hour, which is a huge reason to, find support. Plus it's going to have this trend line. So VIA might not go below $1.35. It might ride it for 45 days. Like it might essentially do a mirror image of this, but instead of resistance, it'll play it as support. Okay. So that's something to look out for VIA as well, to see if it really wants to prove these both as support right here. idea is not, it's so that's doing its failed breakout, kind of like Bitcoin, kind of like Silo, DAPPT. Bolt, lo and behold, this might be what Bolt has been waiting on. So you see what it did here? It went sideways until it could touch this perfectly. That might be what Viacoin does. Look. This is a really common play right now, folks, I'm telling you. But you could have your money stuck flat for quite a while. But again, level. This might be what Bolt needed. It might need to hit it a couple more times for about 5 more days, but I think Bolt's close. Where's Bolt's weekly? And across this line. A lot of times coins like to break out when its key indicator or its key moving average is like 20% away or something. It might be 2 more weeks. With this aggressive slope, it'll be up right there. Yeah, that's about 20% away. Might take a couple more weeks, which means it'll ride its 4-hour 200 a little while longer. But this is a lot of sideways action, which means its trampoline springs are going to be real tight. Like this has the opportunity to really fly. So I'm really excited about Bolt here. Once again, on COV, what's that play? There you go. Could it break down below it? Absolutely. But this is a pretty clear trend line right here, formed by what? Weekly candles, weekly wick, 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 candle, candle. Yeah, it'll probably use this as support. And it's got the... Why are my oranges too similar of colors? Hold on, let me fix this. My orange is too red. I'm getting confused. It's still too close. Maybe it's just my monitor. These almost look the same exact color to me. I don't know if it does to you. But anyway, so COV, like on the 4-hour. Look at that. It's playing it perfectly. So this actually might be something on what Viacoin does right here as well. So yeah, I told you, I'm seeing a lot of repetition in the market right now. So here, waiting for it to catch the 200 EMA to catch up. And Viacoin might actually look exactly like this. Like go sideways for a little bit before this is able to touch. So play probably doesn't have much of a reason to fall down below here unless it comes to kind of test this just a little bit and pop right back up. DAPPT we've already done. It hasn't been playing this, so it's stair stepping. It's its own animal right now. Shaw, also going sideways, also failed breakout, also looks like it's waiting on its 4-hour 200 EMA to catch up, and it's going to use it as double support. Support 1 is the 4-hour 200 EMA, and the second support is the previous resistance of its all-time high, dating back from way back when, I think. Nope, not dating back from way at when, but it's formed by wick, 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 these wicks, essentially that wick and that wick. So that is a great reason to form support. And shoot, you got your weekly. Did I draw this line? Oh, I drew this line. I was going to say, how is it that far? There you go. But you got your weekly 10 approaching too. It could wick down to touch that, but that would be a pretty big drop. I don't think it will. I think the play will be, if it wicks down, it's just going to touch that. So yeah, I mean, look how common this is across everything. Like it's just, there's so much repetition in this market right now. So it broke below this. So this one, OLT, it needed to come test this support. Where is that support coming down to? So it's really good to see, why did price, get sucked down to a certain level, right? Well, here's why. It was a monstrous amount of support in the past. I mean, look how aggressively, the bear market brought this down and it just turned on a dime. So because that was such a massive amount of support here, these two wicks, you see these wicks right there? I mean, this is just an incredibly powerful line. And honestly, the weekly 10's right there. So LLT actually looks like it's all satisfied. It came close enough to its weekly 10. Got to get down to get up. That's good. Daily, which means it already got below its 21. And there's something different going on here with OLT. So whenever you get a golden cross, even though this isn't a textbook definition of golden cross, because these are EMAs, but if it were the 50 simple and the 200 simple, even in Bitcoin, when you get when traders or people buying an asset see this about to happen, they will front run it. And then people see, like, the people who front ran it start taking profits and market selling. And what happens is it often falls back into the golden cross, retest it, and then really flies. So just a heads up there. So this is at the point in the market cycle where on the daily, you might look for these golden crosses, the 50 with the 200 simple, or the 55 EMA with the 200 EMA. It happens at about the same time. So if OLT had a reason to break below its 4 hour 200 EMA, it was that. It had this massive trend line here, plus it fell back into the golden cross, and lo and behold, guess to where it is back up already after a very aggressive reaction, back up to its 4 hour 200 EMA. But it might keep bouncing along here for a little bit. So OLT, its gas tank is now full. It got down to get up. But it could go sideways for, another 20 days. There's going to be a lot of sideways action here. So this is the point in that video said I would personally sell because I see too many divergences. And how many days later? 16 days later, price is only 44% above. So could you have put your money to work somewhere else and more than 44% it to buy back here? Yeah, absolutely. Or you could have gotten your money stuck in somewhere. It hasn't gone up anywhere, right? But I typically err on the side of taking profits and trying to grow it while I think an asset's going to move sideways. This might want to stair step, kind of like DAPPT. Look at this. Look at the similarities here. This might stair step. It might not. It might not have to play the 4 hour 200 EMA. I don't know what this one's doing. This could just be a failed retracement up to its all-time high, and then it could really make a lower low and come back down here, and then quickly pop back above its 4 hour 200 EMA. Something like that could happen. But that's about as low as I would assume it would go. And I don't even know if that would be the most probable situation either. That's a 50, yeah, that's perfectly a 50% correction, which is pretty standard for that aggressive of a run. I can't tell what this one's doing. Let's start looking at some RSIs here on Veracity. It broke its trend line. So maybe it won't stair step anymore. Look. Yeah, it's not going to want to stair. It looks like it wants to come down. Yeah, so this broke its trend. It's going to come down more. So I think stair step is the least likely. Now, could the RSI turn around? Yeah, but I don't think it's as likely. So I think it could find support here, just barely above the point where I suggested that I would sell. So it's either going to find support there. So the most probable for Veracity that I'm seeing is retracing to that line, retracing to this wick here. See this wick where my pointer is? It could correct to there. Or it could correct somewhere between these two candle bodies and this wick, which is, let me just move it between them right there. Because that's a lot going for it. Like, that could suck price down into it. That's a lot of reason to do that. You have three things kind of showing, hey, I want to be support. I want to, oh, this isn't a straight line. That was a drawing. So somewhere like this, and that level on price is 2.759 cents. So 0.0275. Yeah, I think these are the three most probable, and then a what if would be at least one what if is it keeps stair stepping. Even though that's, I think, among what ifs, this is a a pretty probable what if, but I don't think it's a top 3 probable because of the RSI. I haven't broken that trend on the daily. Let's see what the weekly's doing there before I say that. Yeah, the weekly's coming down pretty fast. 2-day, it's stuck below its RSI, getting rejected twice. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's probably going to come down to this line at least. And then the line at which I sold, I think was, I erased it, didn't I? Was here. So let me put my squiggly mark back on here. Let's put a green one. All right. Yep, I think those are the 3 most probable. So I can probably erase this trend line here. It's not going to come down that low. RSI is a little too strong for that. So, and let's just see the percent correction on this. So that's only a 40. Remember my kind of rule of thumb? After a strong run, altcoins go 40 to 60% correction, 42%. And guess, want to make any guesses what percent that line is? 50. Yeah. I would actually guess this top one is the most probable because it's kind of wanted to prove that as support, but there's a lot of action going on here, so maybe tied for, but these lines are so close. Yeah, I really see Veracity hitting one of these lines, which is how much percent above the line which I said I would have sold 16 days ago? 6%. All right, so that's that. Ruby, kind of a new one. Whoa, chill out, cryptillions and crypto crackheads. Yeah, that's a really aggressive formation. Let's see if there's anything going on where it might be a failed breakout. So be careful with this, everybody, because I mean, you're front running a golden cross. What did I just say a few minutes ago? So be careful, but taking profits around there might be a good idea. Yeah. Or right here, actually, somewhere. I mean, it's pretty close to this already. It's a lot of candles. And be careful with this one. I might try to get into this if it does correct. So be careful with that, folks. All right, and then capacity. The daily's almost reset. It's almost come down to this line, which it's going to do. Yeah, it's going to play with this line a couple more times. So, and its range, it keeps making lower highs too. So this is kind of forming a triangle. So it might bust out of the triangle early May. All right, let's see. Let's go back though to the 4-hour. I was trying to show you the repetitiveness of the 4-hour. So see this 4-hour, boom. 4-hour at capacity. Oh, not quite playing it yet, but kind of like Vicoin, it's waiting on to play it. So it's probably going to play it. Veracity, probably not going to play it. OLT actually broke through for the 3 reasons we described. Okay, so let's stay on the 4-hour, kind of focus on this 200 EMA. So this one's stair-stepping with the 4-hour. So this is a pretty good. This kind of looks like what Bitcoin might do, but for different reasons. DAPPT might do. This is stair-steppy. This is a little healthier. And if you can ignore these wicks, I mean, this is potentially stair-steppy, but it has yet to be told. So look at this. I mean, even OPCT, like where did it fall down to? The 4-hour 200 EMA. But it typically aligns with something like on the daily 55. If I would put it back on there, see, right there. Where did it go down to? Ba-ding! So the daily 55 is also a pretty common play. Let's go back up and see how it interacts. Yeah. Yeah, daily 55 and the 4-hour 200 are pretty commonplace right now. And the reason why those are common plays is because you have people who, almost strictly or very primarily trade off the 4-hour candle, the 4-hour charts only. They don't use other charts. And you have people who primarily and or exclusively use the daily to make their trading decisions, right? So if you have 2 different groups of people seeing the same important line, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. A lot of a lot of sideliners at that point, or even sellers, people from both these groups will see the same thing if they trade the 4-hour or the daily. And once it hits either the daily 55 or the 4-hour 200 EMA, which is happening almost at the same time, you have two different groups of people joining team buyer at the same time. And therefore a bounce is happening very strongly, and it's happening across the board. So that's like the psychological market reason behind why this is such a repetitive play in all freaking crypto right now. Tone, look at Tone, even that, like, you know, it's playing its trend line, and but it's probably going to find its way to stay above this pretty soon. This looks like it wants to start going up here soon, actually. I don't anticipate this move sideways for much longer. I think it's going to start stair-stepping. It's totally, everything should be reset on Tone. Yeah, so the daily has hit this twice. Where's the weekly? What's the weekly doing? Oh, no, there is no weekly. 2 days? Yeah, so the 2-day often doesn't have to come all the way down. Yeah, so it might have 2 more weeks in it to allow this to hit here. It could. But I wouldn't expect much more in 10 days for Tone. All right, what's West doing? So failed breakout, see, just like Bitcoin, just like Silo, just like Shaw, similar to Shaw. You know, a couple things could play out. Is West kind of like Idea, you know, it might, you know, try it again, fail all the way back down, or West might start stair-stepping like DAPPT. So what's the 4-hour doing? And it might just be waiting on the 4-hour. So this is kind of potentially waiting on the 4-hour 200 EMA, maybe similar to a lot of the other coins, like VIA and all that kind of stuff. So West, it'll probably come back down to check this line. So if you're looking to pick up West, like 32.89 cents or 32.9 cents might be a pretty good area, because it's probably going to hit this trend line again as this approaches. So this might not stair step quite yet. But it could just stay above it and stair step immediately, as DAPPT was doing. All right. Yeah, it'll probably come down because it's going to want to do it on the same play on the Bitcoin pairing. Yeah, it's going to want to touch it. It's kind of like a moth to a light, right? So this is an interesting one. I played credits pretty hard after when it wicked below here, right? Because the play commonly is this line. I bought a wick below it. Stop. So there's a reason why this came down, okay? And it probably has to do with some important trend line that was massive support and or massive resistance on the weekly candle, you know, previously. Or it could be a golden cross sucking it down. It could be important moving averages like the weekly 10, something. So something is there. That's why it broke the overall trend in cryptocurrency. So let's figure out what it is. Golden cross. And I didn't prepare for that. I just guessed. That was my first guess. So yeah, so fell back into the golden cross. So folks in Ruby, perfect example. Where did it hit? A trend line that I had drawn way before it hit it. So yeah, fell back into the golden cross. All right, hold on a sec. Knock it up. My neighbors have their dogs out. My dog's going crazy. All right. Yep, so I missed that one. When I bought, so I think I mentioned, I bought heavily more CZ. Yeah. So I bought a little bit of credits when I was splitting up my MTV 10 bag, and I put a little bit of favoritism, just a little bit more weight behind credits because I thought it was more ready, but I missed this. So this is something I totally missed, and I should have been looking. Okay, well, so when you say to yourself, okay, will this follow the play, right? Will this play this line and this is a good opportunity to buy? I typically look at the RSIs, right? The gas tank's freaking full. I mean, look at the daily, totally reset, already down there. So when I bought it slightly more heavily, I thought it was the most ready. And this is why it's so important, you know, like earlier in my videos, I said hologram, look at so all these time frames, you need to look across time frames. And even if you've been doing this for 4 years like me, I mean, sometimes you're going to miss shit just like I just did. I totally missed this. I just set it on Ruby like warned everybody. Why didn't I warn myself? I don't know. Because I thought I was ready to go. I pressed buy. Now, is price already back up to where I bought? Yeah, pretty damn. Actually, very close. I think I bought this wick here. So yeah, it's within like 0.5%. So I'm neutral right now. But still, I could have bought it lower. I clicked buy too early without checking all my stuff, right? So you can't rely on RSI 100%. So it failed me there. Something else was more powerful and it sucked it down to it, right? So you got to look at, and then, but that's my other primary indicator, my moving averages. I use both. Typically, they don't fail me. Like, typically, I can see almost everything by candlesticks, moving averages, and RSI. I rarely miss anything, but I missed my own primary indicator, moving averages, on the daily time frame. All right. This had a golden cross, and it didn't fall back into it a while ago. Or no, that's the 4 hour. Too young to have that kind of cross. What's the 4 hour doing? Yeah, this is, I bet it comes down to test this line. So Viacoin might do something similar like this. See this? See this? Watch. This might be almost exactly what Viacoin ends up looking like. See? And honestly, Viacoin could do a mirror, like a perfect mirror image. It could fall below this and get stuck there for a while. See, like that would be a perfect mirror image. That might actually be what happens. I mean, we're kind of seeing that on Cero. But Cero is doing it above this. I would still assume Cero's going to come test this. So if you're trying to pick up some of the small, this is a mid-tier small alt. I think it's like a 50 million cap, like an anonymous coin, kind of like Monero type of deal. I think that's what it is. I think it's going to come test this line because you have two important lines coming together. MAP, stair-stepping just like DAPPT. So see this? Failed breakout, right, of the all-time high. See, this is an all-time high line. Failed breakout, another repetition. Hit what line? The 4 hour 200 EMA. So like this market is really, really, really all looking almost identical. I mean, there are very few, like especially in small alts, they're all looking the same. They're making the same plays. So the ones that broke all-time highs recently are failing. The ones having a golden cross are falling back into it on the daily. The ones that are having the weekly cross of the 10 and 21 are falling back into it. Right? I'm missing something. Oh, ones like BEPRO and Veracity, they're moving sideways for long periods of time. Those are the four major plays. Right there. I should timestamp this. When did I say that? 47 minutes in. Okay, and 48, yeah, 47. So I'll timestamp that one as like the main idea. So those are the four plays right now across small alts. And Bitcoin is actually doing one of those. Right? A breakout that failed, and it's testing its prior all-time high as support. Ethereum's about the strongest thing in the damn market right now, and Litecoin, actually. Litecoin is not quite as strong. Yeah, Ethereum is it's leading the entire freaking market right now. Which it kind of has earned its place. And honestly, it does do that. So even sometimes Litecoin was actually responsible for pulling Bitcoin out of the bear market. Like so sometimes Litecoin really does lead, and Ethereum leads sometimes even more. So because Litecoin's halvening is staggered from Bitcoin's. So it pulled the whole cryptocurrency market out of the bear market in, I think, 2019. February, something like that. Now let's look. Yep, January. Yeah, nothing else was doing this early. Nothing. I mean, look how aggressive that is, starting like, let's say, early February, and look at Bitcoin. This is early February Bitcoin. See that? And Litecoin pulled it up. See the difference? Litecoin really did pull. So sometimes, major alts will pull Bitcoin up. It'll hold the whole damn market up. And that could be, what creates the situation in Bitcoin. If I can go back there a second, what creates Bitcoin to just not correct? it's being held up by other strong, like just overall general bullishness of the entire freaking market. And it just might go sideways for a long time. Sideways up, stair step. And it might end up forming something like Viacoin and Litecoin recently did in the last run, where it stair stepped up, like right here. Bitcoin might end up doing something like this until the last few weeks of the bull run, and then it just goes rah. Viacoin did the same darn thing. Let's see here. So Viacoin last run, see it just stair step, go sideways. I mean, look at this. Sideways, 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 sideways. Rah! So it never really corrected very much. I mean, even though these corrections are probably bigger than what they look like, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a 70. Okay. Viacoin corrected. That's a 76% correction. But on just base perception in terms of, stair steppy and then a run, I think that might be what Bitcoin ends up doing, but not as severe swinging here, obviously, on a percentage basis. But if you stand back and look at it, Bitcoin might end up looking like this. It might stay under 110,000 for quite a while. Honestly think that might be the most probable, but like I said, I'm going to wait till Wednesday to kind of, provide more confidence with my probabilities. But yeah. So anyway, what else do we got here? MITX, so Morpheus Labs, it's probably going to move sideways for quite a while, like I said. So, these are the major plays. If it's broken its all-time high and it screams up, it's going to go sideways for a month or two. This has already gone sideways for a month, so it could be about done. But I don't think we're going to know what these coins are doing until next week, until Bitcoin decides, really. So, but everything's pretty reset on this guy. Moving sideways that long. The daily hasn't touched here yet, so I would probably wait to get into that until the daily touch this on Morpheus Labs. Toko. All right, let's look at what it's doing on the grand scheme of things. Weekly. Put my lines back on. It had its cross. So look, even Toko, as it had its cross here, let me move this line. As it had its cross, it went up, got rejected by what? The weekly 55. And where did it go back down to? Its cross. Right? So this is happening over and over and over. And so this is in the middle. So I haven't included anything here. It wasn't in one of my 4 major plays. Let's look at the 4 hours, see what the 4 hours is doing. This looks pretty stair-steppy. It could just go sideways for a month, too. I really don't know what this one's going to do. What's the daily doing? The daily, it's still holding this trend line. So I think the most probable thing for this is it keeps stair-stepping for the moment until it breaks it. So it's a trend until it's not a trend. Right now, I would say trend. Maybe not by a ton, but I still would lean fairly confidently in that direction. ENQ, another all-time high breakout, failed. It didn't come all the way down, though. So this one's more like Shaw, where it stayed a little bit above. But still kind of a failed breakout. It just didn't keep raging like BEPRO did, right? Back in February. And so see this stair-steppy action? That might be what Bitcoin... So this is a pretty good representation of what Bitcoin might end up doing for 3 months. That is a good snapshot of what I think. It might just keep writing its daily 10 and 21 over and over. Let's go ahead and look at where those are in Bitcoin. Yeah, that's what it's doing now. It just might keep doing this for a long time. Just a very not so aggressive slope. And it just might keep doing this until, it could do this until August, honestly. Right? So if we zoom out here, or even September, it really might, because this is the end of the year here. So if this puts us at August, it's still only at 80,000 in September, then it could really race up. That could happen. And it could have its threshold of I'm going parabolic in middle October. It might be what I'm saying for Bitcoin, folks. as there's so much bullishness on other big cap coins, I think big cap coins are going to keep it from potentially correcting very much. Yeah, this run's behaving much differently. Now, do I think Bitcoin as well will just keep raging? No, because it's gotta cool out. I mean, it's gotta cool off here because it's gonna reach this line a little too fast. And if it does, I would say the bull market will end early if it does that. So I would prefer it go sideways a little longer so I can keep making more money with small alts in the meantime. Bitcoin might be ready to just move sideways. I don't know. So this market's behaving funky. So I'm kind of excited for next Wednesday to, come so that I can, tighten the gears on these probabilities here. But right now, small alts, you got those four main plays. Bitcoin, you have your reasons to be cautious. Also on Ethereum, reasons to be cautious. Not overly cautious, perhaps, but cautious, right? Because it's really nice to have some accessible tether to buy blood on the streets. That's really nice. Especially if something like OLT goes down to recheck its Golden Cross, right? Or if Ruby ends up doing that. It's nice to have a little cash on hand, so depending on what you're into. So that's all I got for you. And, if you want to timestamp my stuff, that's great. I just don't have time to go through my videos and do that. But here in the future, when I have like more staff and stuff, actually, I shouldn't do staff, like actual staff. I will have that already. So just give it time. I can't do everything at once, folks. I know you all want it, but you'll have to wait unless you, kind of come together and provide them. And I'll try to start pinning those at the top if they're complete. Other than that, that's what we got. You just got Timified, and new viewers, if you're still listening, if you end up subscribing, go ahead and let me know in the comments below if you want to be a cryptillion or a crypto crackhead. You must choose your crypto pronoun that it happens to be neuter. It's neutered. It's gender neutral. All right, we'll see y'all later.